Like, I think, first of all, we try to say that we're more vulgar now than our parents were or people before us were, right? That's bullshit. What is different is there was more censorship back then, there was no internet, so there was no social media, right? So, how were people gonna get their vulgarity? Nobody was gonna get it. Well, when you go up in a party and you get in on back, nobody's gonna see it on any social media post.
So I'm here today with Jael. Jael was challenging my perspectives on that one clip where I said that it's getting a little bit too vulgar. She represents Dominica heavy, born and raised in Dominica until she was 16. So tell me about a little bit of the work that you are doing throughout the Caribbean.
Well, thank you for having me on your podcast. It's nice to be here. And I'm not that tough of a person, but whatever.
You had to defend your place. I was attacking.
But
I was
of course,
attacking.
But of course, right? If I didn't, I would not be Dominican. It'd be very un-Dominican of me. But I consider myself to be a multi-hyphenate individual. So I do quite a few things. I am a producer. I'm a director. I'm an MC. I am a radio host. I have a few podcasts. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a few things that I do. I guess I'm all-rounded media entrepreneur, so to speak.
So I know that you recently won an award for your documentary or a short film. I believe it was called Territory.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and kind of what inspired it?
Well, Territory was created as my master's project. So it was a major research project. And my professors, who were my supervisors at the time, they were just like, it's a really good piece of material. Like, you should submit it to festivals. And I'm like, I already got the master's. Why do I have to, like, get another something for it, right? And they're like, no, you should. You should. That's how you make it in this business. And I was like, okay, I'll submit it. So Territory essentially is based on the Kalinago peoples of Dominica. They're an indigenous tribe. They are one of the last remaining in the Eastern Caribbean space. And I wanted to kind of touch on their political and economic struggles and see how they could come to terms with actually getting use of their land, how they could utilize their language, because their language is practically gone.
What language do they speak?
Kalinago language.
Okay.
So there's nobody speaks it fluently anymore.
So the people that are left, it's just they only know bits and pieces?
They only know bits.
What's like when you only know like the cuss words kind of thing?
Not even the cuss words. They literally know, like, they don't even know phrases. They literally know,
just
like,
words.
like just words. So I was hoping to try and find the commonalities between language and land.
Okay.
And hopefully help them to reclaim both or either.
So what can you tell me a little bit about, like, what the story that you told, like the specific story, like were you following characters or like, okay.
Yes. So I followed three individuals. So this was actually a process, like a very long process.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're doing it. I was doing it for a grade at the time. So there's a lot of that goes around, or that's involved getting a master's and doing a documentary, especially when you have people like the Research Ethic Board who watches like every single thing that you do, and you have to make sure that you're not causing any harm to the community and all of these different things. So it was a very long process.
Yeah.
Like, I literally submitted like over a 6-month period back and forth
Before you could even
before
start
I could
filming?
actually start filming. And once I was able to start filming, before I started filming, I actually interviewed about 25 people. So I would just randomly, like, because I am familiar with the community.
Okay.
Again, I am very diehard Dominican. So it's not just being a Canadian and living in the Canadian space. Like, I rep Dominica on a lot of different things, initiatives and whatnot. So the community or people in Dominica, they know who I am.
Okay.
And so it was very easy for me to connect because I know the chief, I know I know different characters in the community. So coming up to them and be like, hey, I'm Jael, they're like they're very willing to speak. And even that was one of the concerns, obviously, of the research ethic board, because they feel obviously that people might want to speak to me because of my influence.
So they were saying that ethically that's not right.
It could pose a problem because people feel almost like they're obligated to.
Oh, okay.
So you have to kind of try and pull yourself back and be like, you're not obligated to do this. Like you can say no. Or even if we start like halfway, you decide to dip out, you can also do that, So all of that had to I kind of had to get that out in the air that, like, you don't have to do it. Right.
But I would like if you did.
But I would, well, I couldn't actually say that, but I'm glad that they did, because I ended up with 3 individuals from the community. And one is a nurse. And at the time she was a senator for the opposition party. And then
So this is all within just the Kalinago community. They have their whole own political structure.
They have their political structure, but what you will learn in the film is that it's heavily influenced by the bodies outside of their community. So, for example, like the hope is that the chief would have the parliamentarian say when it comes to like going to sit in parliament, but they have a parliamentary representative.
Okay, so
even for their community.
So like the Dominica government has somebody who helps to almost like a liaison between.
Yes. Okay. So they have. So it's not even a liaison. It's more like that person is the one that represents their interests in parliament.
Okay.
Right. So they have elections, and they put out whether it's how many parties that are running for government, and everybody has their representative. So there's like a lot of and all of that. And then even when that person is actually voted in, the chief has no other choice but to work with that person.
Okay.
So they're not really.
But they're not a member of the community themselves.
They have to be a member of the community.
Okay.
So it's almost like, so if I don't agree to your views, right, and you win elections, I still, as a chief, I still have to work with you, because the only way my people will get assistance is if I work with you.
And what kind of assistance do they
like
require?
Financial assistance, education. Right now they're in the process of rebuilding their roads, and yes, they're rebuilding the roads, which is like commendable and it's great. And after how many years, it's finally being done. But it's right now the dust is causing a lot of problems for the people in the community.
What do you mean?
So they're rebuilding the roads, but they don't have water trucks constantly watering down the road. So when the sun dries up the road, there's dust galore. People are having asthmatic attacks and stuff, and nobody's talking about it. So like, it's just like when they have festivities, they come around with their trucks and they went down the road because they want to shut people up. And then once the festivities are done, it's like, fuck you. On to the next.
So I know that the film is called Territory, and you mentioned the connection between language and land. So tell me just a little bit, I guess like I want to know more about, I kind of want to talk about the land itself. So like, are these people living like reserve style?
So it's like the Canadian.
Yeah.
It's exactly like the Canadian. So they're on a reserve, which is called the Kalinago territory.
Okay.
So that's where I got the territory from, right? Essentially, like when you hear of territory, you think of like a pull and push. You think of that, right? And there's also that pull
because of the politics.
Because of the politics.
Is it because they're not getting what they need or what they want? Or?
Well, a huge part of how the Kalinago territory structure is set up is they live on communal land, which is reserve, right? But colonizers, obviously, they made it seem like it was a good thing to have your own land. And so you're like, yeah.
And your land is never by the water. It's never like the best piece of land. It's always the worst piece of land. It's
exactly that for them. But it's farming land. It's good, it's good farming land. However, they cannot use that land to get a loan in the bank. So it's like it's yours, but it's not yours.
So they don't have like the assets to be able to leverage.
So it's theirs because it's assets. It's their land. So, for example, it's passed on through generations. So, your great grandfather had it. They gave you the land, or they can exchange within themselves. They could sell within them. They can even sell plots within their community.
Okay.
But to utilize that land and get a title for it and go to the bank, because the bank would require a title, right? Because when the bank when the bank gives you money, they need to hold something back. And the bank is not allowed to hold back communal land. So as a result,
so what's the difference between communal land and any other land?
Well, any other land. So for the rest of Dominica, Dominicans have it's not considered crown land. So you decide as a Dominican, I can decide I want to purchase land, and I purchase the land and it's mine. Right? Or my parents could have left me land that they inherited and it's mine. I get the title. I go to the registry. I ensure that the title is moved over to my name and it becomes my land. Right? My title. I can now take that title and I can go to the bank and I could say, I'd like to build a house, or I would like to go to study, or I'd like to open a business.
Yeah.
And the bank values that land. So they would say probably, hey, your plot of land is worth $100,000. So we can give you up to $100,000 because if you don't pay, we can come and we can take your land. The opposite is for the Kalinago people. They'll have, it's their land, but they don't have a title to the land.
Okay, so you said it's communal land, but even if they were to get title or anything like that, they're still not able to leverage that land to get a loan.
It is communal land, and it's essentially you cannot sell it.
So it's just like you just have access to this
So
land.
they have access and they can grow their crops. Now you would think in a perfect world that having access to all of this land that you can grow, that they would be, because we have situations of food security around the world. So you should be able to like plant and grow. They have a lot of wastage because, again, the government has not set anything in place that would allow them to process a lot of the products that they grow. So you can grow things like dasheen and yam and plantain, all of these things that can be converted into organic powders that you could use, but there's no agro-processing centers or factories in Dominica. So the only thing they can do with this is to ship it, like hucksters will buy it and send it overseas to sell, so to resell but then there's always the politics that comes.
It's always politics with everything.
When you're doing trade, like when you're sending food, because it has to be a specific way, it has to be
and they're probably making it harder for them trying to take advantage.
Exactly. So that becomes an additional problem. So one of the things, it would have been nice that they were able to, like, if we had factories in Dominica, and that's something that I would have loved to see, because we have a lot of wastage.
Do you guys have the infrastructure to ever have a factory?
We have a lot. There's nobody living on the inside of Dominica.
Okay.
Everybody lives on the outskirts. Okay. Right? So, it'll take a lot of work to kind of dig through, because Dominica is known as one of the youngest islands, in the sense of it was the youngest. There's more of Dominica under the sea than above the sea.
Oh.
Right? So it would take a lot of engineering, which, I didn't go to school for that, to kind of get
and
that
obviously
done.
At the end of the day, it's going to take a lot of money.
Yes, to do. But there is land that could be developed into factories there's a lot of wastage in Dominica. I'm not even going to lie. Like, a lot. Like, mango season, girl, we could probably sell mango to the entire
Now I know
Caribbean.
where to go when I need
mango season. Let me tell you, I do videos. I do mango videos.
Yeah.
And people, my videos are all like 100K going.
Wow.
I just eating mangoes. Like, I go down and I have like a bowl of mangoes and I just eat mangoes. Like, greedily eat mangoes.
Yeah.
I make all my sounds and stuff. But there's a lot of wastage. And now, there's like, you could make leather out of mango.
Mango skin?
Yes, girl. I mean, like,
What?
so to think of all of these things that can actually be done. Like, I know people who harvest like 80,000 pounds of dasheen
In Dominica.
Like it's
It's,
crazy.
you know what's so crazy is, like we were saying off camera, is like a lot of these small islands don't really get their flowers. I have never heard anything about Dominica, so I don't even know. I don't know you guys have all this land with all this food that's going to waste, and there's the Kalinago and this and that, because we always hear about only the same islands over and over and over.
Well, I feel like I agree with you on that. A lot of times, the smaller islands, and I don't necessarily want to just single out Dominica, but the islands of the Eastern Caribbean.
Yeah. You guys use EC dollars?
We use EC dollars because we operate within a CARICOM / EC perspective, in the sense of all of us use the same monies.
Yeah.
And everybody has their thing. So like Antigua is known for their beaches, and everybody has their thing that comes with them, and as a result, like Dominica is known as a nature island because like it rains a lot. There's a lot of forest.
I see. It looks like it's very jungly.
It's very jungly. It's very like we have black sand beaches, so we don't have like the white sand that everybody like adores and stuff. But what we do have is a lot of rivers. Like a lot of rivers, a lot of waterfalls. We have the second largest boiling lake in the world.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the second in the world.
Okay.
Look at her.
No. I have a question. Like, let's actually talk about this. And it's not like a critique or anything, but it's like just a real question, because I never hear any of these things about Dominica. So like, is there more that can be done to market the island?
I will be frank with you. I don't think that they're doing a good job marketing themselves.
That's what I was going to ask.
And that has nothing to do with me. I do my part because I'm a Dominican, and I will promote my country wherever I go.
Yeah.
I'm a Dominican by birth. But they have the second largest boiling lake in the world.
And I didn't know.
They also have the #1 deep free diving site in the world.
And I didn't know that. And I just watched a documentary on free diving on Netflix the other day. It's called like The Deepest Breath or something like that.
Yes.
And I would have never known.
So Dominica has like people travel all across the world. I met a woman from Ecuador on my last flight out of Dominica. She left Ecuador to come to Dominica to dive.
Like to live?
To dive. Just to dive. She came for a week.
Wow.
To do free diving. And that's in the world. You are more than likely to interact with a sperm whale in Dominica.
Wow.
Because they make around the island their home, right? There are a lot of sperm whales all around the island. I've seen turtles the size of cows.
Talking to you, it sounds like the island is like a natural paradise. Like, it is very rich in the land. Is like, you plant anything, it will grow.
No joke. Like seriously, we were destroyed. The country lost practically all its trees during Hurricane Maria in 2017. And within 6 months, things were growing, and you were able to imagine thinking about it, and you're like, oh my God, 2017 to now, you can get coconuts and you can get everything like nothing happened.
Wow.
It's almost like you look at the land now and it's like nothing happened. Like my partner grows, he'll put down strawberries and stuff. And it will grow, because the house where we live, where my family live, is the highest driving point in Dominica. So it's very cool there. So as a result, a lot of things can like blackberries and strawberries. And
I don't think I've ever heard about those types of fruits growing anywhere in the Caribbean.
They grow in some islands. Some other islands, you can grow them. It depends on how high, the heights and stuff. So they grow that, and they don't grow it for public consumption. You grow it for your home, so the kids will eat it, and stuff like that. So it's not something that you grow to
No, but still, I just never heard that before, because I think it was something like the soil was too acidic, or just the makeup of the soil particularly.
Dominica has perfect.
It sounds like
planting grounds, right? Like when I tell you,
because remember, you're talking about how much gets wasted.
I don't have a green thumb. And everything I plant grows. It grows there. I don't have a green thumb at all. I will plant something in Canada and it will probably more than likely die.
Yeah.
But Dominica, it's a lovely island. And everybody kind of feels their island is the best.
Of course.
Because that's how we are as Caribbean people. Yeah. But we all have really, I've always been one to speak about one Caribbean. Yeah. As thinking in that way, in the sense of, we have certain resources that we can all benefit from each other's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like a sharing economy kind of thing?
Exactly. And I think We would not need anywhere. We would not need anyone else or any other country if we actually were thinking like along those
I
lines.
remember having a similar conversation with my family saying like, and I don't know what the politics behind this would look like or if it would just be completely impossible. But if the Caribbean had one currency, let me tell you, my Canadian dollar would be like 60 cents.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that it's something that, I mean, I know now they're implementing like free movement across the Caribbean, especially not just Caribbean, I should say CARICOM Islands. So if you're part of CARICOM, there's free movement in the sense you can go and work in any of the Caribbean.
Okay.
So they're hoping to implement that by 2024. So you'd be able to leave Dominica and go to St. Lucia and work. Well, you can do that now.
Like no visa.
No visa required. You could live today and start working tomorrow. You don't have to do, like I can start a business as a Dominican. I can go to St. Lucia. I can go to Antigua. I can go to St. Kitts and just buy land.
Wow.
Because we have that relation. I go to Grenada and just buy land, St. Vincent, and just because we have that really good relationship. So
one of the things that I saw a post on LinkedIn, you may have seen it too, where the guy was saying one of the issues between the Caribbean is the cost of flying interregionally.
That is like another story. Like we need like a whole double podcast. to talk about it.
Just touch
to
on
talk
it.
about it. But it is ridiculously expensive. Like it would cost me the same price as going to Dominica from Canada.
That's what he was saying.
Than going in between the islands.
That's what he was saying.
It's, I mean, there, for example, like there's this Express de Zile, which is like an express ferry that travels between St. Lucia, Guadeloupe, Martinique, and Dominica. Okay. So we're able to commute, because St. Lucia is our sister island. Like we literally like consider them like family, right? And it's like, and I always say I wish all of the islands were like how we are, you know, because we're very tight, and it's not tight in the sense of like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you know, it's tight, or Antigua and Barbuda. It's tight where we don't have to consider each other family, you know, and we're just, so because of that tight connection that we have, we commute to St. Lucia on the ferry, and you can pay like 300 EC round trip, which is like 150 US, you know, round trip to go to St. Lucia, which is on the ferry. It's 5 hours.
I was going to ask how long it takes.
But you do it when you don't want to.
The thing about these ferry rides is sometimes the rock back and forth, people get seasick,
The gravel.
No, when I took the ferry from Grenada to Carriacou, which is a sister island, people were throwing up on there. Like multiple people. I'm like, and then when you start seeing people vomit on the boat, it's like, then you start to feel kind of, and then it's like, yes, just help us make it. Just
yeah, but it would have been nice if, you know, somebody with a lot of money would just probably invest, because you know there's like Inter-Caribbean that does flights between the islands, but then they have all of these restrictions like luggage size, you know, like, well,
it's a really small plane, I heard.
So imagine Air Canada tells you're allowed 50 pounds, and when you get to Barbados they're like, you're allowed 44 pounds. What am I supposed to do? Throw away the 6 pounds in the sea?
It's always some kind of overweight thing too, like,
right? So because of that, you know, I mean, I laugh about it because I've traveled so much and I don't make it bother me anymore. But it would just be nice if we could just hop on a plane. I mean, I miss Liat. I know everybody, you know, it used to be like Live Island at any time. Liat, you know, like it was always late.
I remember my grandfather said something about BUE, about better walk if able.
Yeah, right? You should have a whole podcast on that, on the things like for real. So I miss Liat because Liat was a bit like a lot cheaper to fly between, and probably that's why they went bankrupt. Probably, you know, because they were not really meeting being able to like profit because of how expensive it was to actually manage the airline. But it'd be nice, you know, if somebody with like big money just dump some money and just say, oh, fly between, or if we come together. Right?
Well, that's the hard
and
part
actually
sometimes.
and it doesn't have to be.
Sometimes
I think everybody wants to have their own
fight
thing.
up.
It's a fight
who's
up.
the best? This one is the best. We have the best food. We have the best this. It's chicken curry, not curry. Like, please stop.
And that the whole story though. Like, where's Major Hype from?
Pardon?
Where's he from?
Who?
Major Hype.
Oh, that one. Oh God, I feel bad for him with that clip.
I don't think he's from the Caribbean.
That's what I was. I was thinking about it the other day.
Honest to God, I believe like I'm like, first of all, you're from the Caribbean, right?
Yeah, my family's from the Caribbean.
So when somebody asks you, when I asked you today where you're from, what did you say?
Grenada.
And if you become famous, all Grenadians gonna be under your post, right? Nobody ever reps him.
Oh my god!
Like nobody ever like.
Oh my
have
god!
you ever
no,
seen
no,
some?
no! Stop! No, this
Tell
is
me
what.
one country.
No, this is what
country people like to like. Our island people, we love to praise our people. Like if I do good as a Dominican, everybody under my post. She from Dominica. You know so and so from Dominica.
She's so and so grandchild.
Right? Nobody's taking on Mr. Nobody has said this is my. I mean, with all that fame, nobody. Crickets. He's straight from the Caribbean.
Because I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, how come his like Caribbean identity is a secret?
And he tells people, oh, I think, my theory is this man grows up in New York around a lot of Caribbean people. And he just loved, because that's how
there's some people that are like
They're
that.
They're just so like, oh my God, like hear them speak. Like, oh, I love their food. Because we're just naturally nice people. And everybody wants to be around us. And he started imitating us.
And he did a good job.
He did a good job. And it became a thing. And now it would be horrible for it to look like
he gets
made
exposed.
All of these, Mr. is so not a Caribbean person. And if he is, wherever he repping, come on and leave the post and just tell us. Tell us that he from... because y'all not sure. Nobody like
that's so true actually.
Like you were the Caribana queen and I saw plenty Grenadians who underneath saying
yeah, they were even reposting it to their Grenada
right.
their Grenada pages and stuff.
And you probably never go Grenada in your life.
No, of course I used to. Yeah.
Because we don't care.
Yeah,
we just rep for who we rep for.
Yeah,
and people will say, "Oh, I know her. She's so and so's child, and they left Dominica when she was a little girl." And, you know, and all of a sudden, everybody, it's a thing.
Listen,
right?
if it ever got exposed that he was zero connection,
we will go back into our archives.
you listen. I had that one. We had the one clip where me and the last guest Mahir were talking about I stopped dancing and the vulgarities, and you came under the post.
Stop dancing, no?
No, I don't fucking stop dancing.
Nobody stops dancing.
She might stop. No, she might stop dancing.
You think she stops dancing? I
believe that she does stop dancing.
I think she stops dancing, but her toes still be tingling.
No,
and
once I hear, remember I told you once I hear, I like this. Listen, I know what he's saying in some vulgarity.
Wild,
right? But I do still dance to it. But I'm very aware of the lyrics, so I could only listen to the song so many times in my headphones. Sometimes I have to turn it off. But I want you to talk to me a little bit about, kind of the history of the music. You said you wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Why is it that, at the end of the day, though, I said what I said, and I'm not taking it back.
Let me see if I can find it. She said, "Oh, what'd you say? It's the damn culture." That's a sentence I remember.
But it's the damn culture. Like, I think a huge part, like we try. First of all, we try to say that we're more vulgar now than our parents were or people before us were, right? That's bullshit. What is different is there was more censorship back then. There was no internet. So there was no social media, right? So how were people going to get their vulgarity? Nobody was going to get it. Well, when you go up in a party and you get in on, nobody's going to see it on any social media post, right? So because our times have changed and we've evolved, I mean, I look at just, like I was telling you, look at how when BET first came to Canada. I don't know if you're old enough to know, but when BET first came to Canada, a lot of the music videos were censored. So they would play After Dark. They would play all of those back that ass up videos.
I'm glad they were censored because growing up as a little kid being exposed to a lot of that stuff, I don't know if it's necessarily the best thing. I remember I actually wasn't even allowed to watch BET growing up, to be honest. Like, it would only be when I could go to my friend's house and stuff. I could sneak a little 106 in Park. My mom was like, there's too much bum shaking stuff happening. Like, I don't need my 6-year-old child watching this and thinking that it's cool, even though it was cool.
Of course, right? So that was going on. Now, what happens? We have WAP playing on anything, right? On everything. Songs like WAP, right?
I'm not a fan.
And Booty's Out and everything.
I'm not a fan of that song either.
I mean, but I'm just saying,
I understand.
You may not be a fan of it,
yeah,
because you might find, okay, it might be it might be shaming women, or it might be talking this about
No,
women,
I don't know. I just
or
don't.
whatever
I
it
just
is.
don't like the vibes.
For me, I think people are always vulgar. It's just now it's more out there, and as a
Facts.
result, we feel like, okay, that, oh, this is so vulgar or whatever. And I don't even consider vulgar. I consider the culture, because that's how it's been.
Okay, so this comment, I thought it was really interesting. He said, so Carnival in the Caribbean, especially in those places where patois/Creole was spoken 100 plus years ago, is from the Jamet class, like lower class. One time in particular, she remembers seeing a woman flashing her unshaven flow for entertainment of mostly men around her. Carnival has absolutely cleaned up.
It has, because it's been commercialized. So it's cleaned up so
So
that
it has to
could
be packaged.
So it could be packaged as a tourism product, right? But historically, there's always been lewdness, and what we call lewdness going on. Like as a matter of fact, it wasn't just that aspect of it. The spiritual aspect of it has been cleaned up a lot, because the things that people used to do is to scare people.
I watched
right?
a video
no
recently.
longer a thing, really. Like, it's not even scary.
I watched a video
Do you
recently.
think Halloween's scary?
Listen,
Give me a break. When
I
you
watched.
see a man with, a tinsel, what they used to pee in, the old people used to
Ew, yes.
right? So it make the noise, that loud noise. So they would put the tinsel on their head with 2 cow horns, right? You can't see face. All you see is like the crocus bag they used to make into like a sensei. And they have this on them. And they have the big chains. And they run it up and down the road. And they hitting the chains on the road. That used to make your insides. It doesn't matter how old you were. You could have been an older person to a younger person. You would feel like you're going to pee on you and run.
A lot of people my grandparents talk about how before a jab was like a big thing in Grenada, there would be like one jab coming on the road and everybody's scared. All the kids are scared. Everybody's running away when they see him coming.
So it was a lot scarier too, right? But again, to commercialize it, because obviously people wanted to have it as a product that can be sold. So as a result, we kind of, it got better. So, well, I shouldn't say better, but
it just got more. But what are your thoughts on the packaging of it? Like, do you think we need to get back to?
No, I think we're fine. I think we're good. I think Carnival is good. I think all the islands, they have what they bring to Carnival, which is very interesting. I think we're, as a people, that's just me, I feel like, not just as a Dominican, but as a person from the Caribbean, I feel like we still represent our ancestors to some extent. Like we still uphold a lot of the traditions and stuff. And I think it's a really great to see, that.
Tell me a little bit about Dominica's Carnival. I don't ever hear about it.
Well, Dominica's Carnival is probably one of the most authentic ones, so to speak. And why I say that is, there's no, like, you don't have to join a band to jump in a band.
Yeah.
Right? So that aspect of it, like, we kill it, right? You can literally probably come to Dominica for 120 US and have the ball of your life. Like a ball with 120 US. And I've had friends that I've dared that could speak on this. And I said, you only come in here with 120. As a matter of fact, I had a friend in 2010 come down with me and leave with her whole $120. She didn't even spend a dime of it. When we got to St. Martin, she's like, I'm gonna buy you a pair of jeans. She bought me a pair of jeans. No joke, right? Because everybody's so like giving. Like you could jump in a band, you could go to a rum shop and people give you a drink.
It's just like a community.
It's
vibe.
just very community oriented. And I mean, now over the last couple of years, we've explored more the costume vibe and stuff.
So what, you guys are more like a type of Juve kind of island?
Kind of just Juve kind of island, but still like the t-shirt band.
And nice!
Yeah,
I love that.
We have the t-shirt band's a big deal.
Do you guys have Monday night mass or any kind of night mass?
And it goes till 10.
Nice.
It goes till 10.
10 a.m.
p.m.
Oh.
10 p.m.
Yeah.
So from morning till 10 p.m.
Nice.
Which a lot of islands still don't have that. It cuts off for most people. It cuts off when the sun starts to go down, right? Yeah. Right. Whereas we still go till very late. I can't remember the last carnival where there was a killing or people. People just have a good time.
What's Dominica's Carnival called? Is it called just Dominica Carnival?
The real mass. The Real Mass.
Mass Dominique.
So it's
or something
Mass
like that.
Dominique, but it's called The Real Mass.
Oh.
So literally that's what it's branded as, right? So it's just very, I mean, the unfortunate thing for us is that we compete with Trinidad every year because it's the same time.
Oh.
So we're competing with Trinidad and people who like the commercial part of Carnival, and Trinidadians also do a very good job at promoting and marketing their Carnival.
I would love to see Dominica, the island, and the Carnival marketed in like a more strategic way, so that
Good luck with that.
so that the diaspora and everybody who are these people who are willing to pay their money to go to these carnivals, there's this whole like, oh, carnivalist and all these people who want to, it's not even like, it's like, which carnival are we going to this year?
Yeah, and because we're constantly competing with Trinidad, and Trinidad is so good at what they do in terms of marketing.
But they put a lot of money into their carnival.
They put a lot of money. Their fets, hands down, the best. I'm not gonna lie.
I've heard people say.
I am very honest with it. Like, my partner lived in Trinidad. Like, he was working in Trinidad for an automotive company, and we've done it. And their fets are the best. But the Carnival, Dominica takes the cake for me.
Yeah.
Hands down. And I would be honest about it. Like, I would honestly be honest about it, because if something's not going right in Dominica, I'll tell you shit, right? But it, hands down, from Juve, girl, let me tell you, you just have to like hold an extra foot.
Okay, tell me how to say some phrases in Creole. Like, what's like the traditional greeting? Like,
Sakafet, sakafet,
sakafet.
sakafet.
Do you guys say sac passe also?
We say sac passe, but more like tit for kicks. Like, we take it like kicks off of Haitian. Because we don't say sac passe, we say sakafet.
Sakafet.
We say sakafet, yeah.
I don't know. What are some like a little bit of like Creole
Like,
phrases
what you
that you
Tell
should
me,
know?
Like,
I don't know. What's a Creole?
Well,
what's a Creole
I
cuss
actually
word? Listen, I think some of these people are cussing me in Creole in the comments.
bon dame maman.
Something about your mother?
Yes, your mother's ass. Girl.
Oh my gosh.
I know all the cuss words because that's what I learned first.
That's what you learned first?
That's what I learned first.
Those
My
are
great
the
grandmother taught me all the bad, but yeah.
Well, one of the things that I've heard is that.
Or like lang susun mama, your mother cunt. Yeah.
Lang susun mama.
Lang susun mama.
Lang?
Like your lang as in tongue.
Oh.
Lang susun, like your mother.
Lang susun
Your mother's
mama.
cunt. Mamao.
Mamao.
Yeah. Lang susun mamao.
Lang susun mamao.
Yes.
So that's how you say your mother cunt.
Your mother cunt.
That is so funny.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. That is so funny.
But it always feels better when you cuss in Creole than when you cuss in English. I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
Like for example, you could also say like your mother's ass. You could also say like patat mamau.
Okay.
But patat in if you had to look at the English word to patat is potato. So it's almost like you're saying your mother potato. You know, like your mother's potato. So imagine having to translate that for somebody and like, oh,
what
no,
does that mean?
Yeah.
Your mother's potato?
Yeah.
But it sounds like a big cuss anyways.
Yes.
Oops.
Patat mamau.
So that I love learning more about Creole. One of the things that I heard about in Dominica when I was in high school, there was this girl, she talked about how her mom wasn't allowed to speak it or something like that because it was considered rude. And I know that the Creole is a little bit endangered in Dominica.
Well, it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's endangered. I feel like a lot more people are not speaking it like before. Like, I grew up in a house where my father was a teacher and my mom was a nurse, right? Eventually he stopped teaching. My dad stopped teaching, but my parents only spoke English in the house. They only spoke English at home. I only learned Creole when my great grandmother came to live with us, right? And it was a bribery thing, right? So I would ask, because she liked coffee, but she was blind. So I'll tell her, I'll make coffee for you if you tell me this. I'll give you coffee, because she could drink coffee all day, right? So I'll say, I'll make you coffee if you tell me what is this, and she'd tell me, right? And that's how I learned Creole. It was considered to be not necessarily rude, but it was adults' way of communicating with each other without letting the kids know. Like, you know, I don't know if you experienced growing up when they would tell you, what are you doing in my conversation? Like your big people
This is
conversation.
big people conversation.
It was
Move.
the same thing with Creole. It was like that's big people conversation,
okay.
right? So you need to move out of, and as a result, they didn't realize that what they were doing was actually alienating us from our language, right? So a lot of kids grow up. A lot of kids who come after me don't, like my sisters who are younger than me. They know Creole, but they don't speak it. So they'll understand it. They'll probably hear speak it. They will speak it, but like it's not that they can't speak it. They just don't speak it. You know,
They
what I
don't have
mean?
a reason.
They don't have a reason to, right? And people who are like in their younger than 30 have probably most of them don't speak it at all, but they'll understand like certain phrases and they'll understand certain things, right? And that's because it wasn't something that is, it's not something that's taught in school. Like we teach Spanish and French and all these other different languages,
is that so?
and we don't speak Creole. Like teach us Creole in school. Like I did this series on my I don't know if you saw it on my Instagram where I was teaching people how to phonetically speak Creole.
Okay.
So I did it for the entire, because we just ended our Creole season. So today's
Yeah,
the last
October.
day of October, right? So I did every week I post 3 videos on different things, you know, like how to say you're pretty, and you know, different things, you know, in Creole and stuff. But I did it phonetically. So it's not the actual spelling of the Creole words, because Creole words look a lot like French. And I still can't speak French, so you know it's not easy, right? As somebody who speaks Creole fluently, right? So I felt like a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I know wanted to learn Creole, and that's the easiest way to do it is how I did it. And a lot of people will be calling me and messaging me and sending me voice notes because they actually know how to say certain words and phrases.
Yes. Was it susu
mamau, lang susu mamau.
Mamau, lang susu mamau. Your mother so and so. Listen, the cuss words are foundational. I don't even care. Learning the cuss words of a language is what gets you kind of excited
about it.
Yeah.
Because when you can tell somebody something and it really like get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I do want to touch a little bit on some of the music that comes out of Dominica. I know it sounds, and again, you talked about how St. Lucia and Dominica are very close. Like, I know the music has like a similar like pace or like vibe. No? Am I wrong?
Kinda. So St. Lucia is Denry.
Yeah.
Dominica. So Dominica.
Wait, so Denry and Bouyon are not, you wouldn't say they're similar?
No.
Well, okay, what's the main difference? As somebody who's an English speaker, to me, it's
it's
similar.
the drums.
Okay.
It's the lapo kabut, which is the drums. Lapo kabut, which is it's the drums, the goat skin.
Okay.
So they use goat skin to make this. So they call it lapo kabut. It's also a type of
lapo kabut.
Yeah, it's also a type of music we dance to. So for example, you'll hear like people saying, "Oh, the lapo kabut was hot," you know, like, and also referring to it almost like as if it's a fete.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm by no means a historian in Dominican culture or Dominican history or whatever. I just love Dominica. So anytime I get an opportunity to talk about Dominica, I'll talk about Dominica. But essentially, like, our foundational music was calypso, caraslipso, and bouyon. That's that's where we come from, right? So caraslipso, which was developed by this guy whom I love, Gordon Henderson. Go look for him. Okay. He's a legend in Dominica. He is he lives in France, but he's Dominican, and he and a group of guys formed a group called Exile One.
Okay.
And Exile One, I guess they wanted a faster pace. I actually did a full interview with Gordon Henderson, so go follow me on YouTube and find the interview where he talks about where he came from and how they started off, right? So I'm not even going to go into that.
Okay.
But Gordon and these guys put together this genre which fed off of like a lot of the local music that was being played, and they dubbed it caraslipso, which is a little bit of cadas. You know, cadas from the Haitian influence, African influence, and calypso. Okay. Right? So they developed caraslipso, and out of caraslipso is where you got soca, because I'll tell you why. So when Exile One, which came about in the 70s, they came together with Ras Shorty, who we know as Lord Shorty from Trinidad and Tobago, also known as Garfield Blackman, came to Dominica to do a record with Exile One.
Okay.
And it was there he discovered Calypso. And he went back to Trinidad. He took Calypso, Calypso, and Indian drums and made soca.
Wow.
So there's a lot more of Dominica in soca
Then you guys get
than
recognition
Trinidad.
for, yeah.
Than Trinidad. There's a lot more of Dominica in soca than Trinidad.
Well, even with like today's sound though, I feel like
So that's
Trinidad
Bouyon.
has their but I feel like Trinidad has their own like soca sound,
Yeah.
which can be very singy at times. So I guess like the origins, like in the beginning, it was very much Dominica, but I feel like as time went on, it became.
Well, I don't think it was very Dominica. They still had, like, if you listen to like Exile One music, right? Which I implore you to go listen.
I'll
If
watch
you listen to
your episode.
Exile One music. Their music was kind of like a groovy kind of a soca,
Okay.
right? So it didn't lose. So when you listen to groovy soca, and you listen, the only difference is that a lot of their songs were in Creole and French, right? So after moving out of the 70s, and Gordon explains that very well in the interview he did with me, why Calypso was it was at a certain time in history.
Okay.
So it's not like something that necessarily can be played and be appreciated like today. You will appreciate it if it was part of your culture. You'll understand it, but it was kind of like, that was the music of its time. Right? So eventually music evolved in Dominica, and we had bands like the WCK, which a lot of people know.
I've heard the name.
That started that kind of brought about the Bouyon, which was like Bouyon coming after the word. Bouyon is like a pot of everything. Like it's a bouillon. Like so it's like everything coming together in that. So they brought about the Bouyon, and then what you hear now, which is it's again an evolving of the Bouyon music, which is constant, and like everything else in life, things are evolving and the music has evolved, right? And we say it's nasty business because they've dubbed it nasty business, and the guys who did it, there was a reason behind it too. Like a huge part of it had to do with, almost feeling like you were underground and not really accepted in the fraternity of other musicians to play like other musicians. So like when you're like a rebel, you see like how trap came from rap?
Yes.
Kind of like that.
Okay.
Right? So and that is exactly how it came about. But Dominican music is like, Dominicans are known for creating rhythm. They call it like, you see, like, you guys have like soca, have all of these rhythms but like we have the rhythm gods in Dominica. Like Family was created by Dada, right? So he the beat behind the winning song, he's created for Mr. Killer. He's created like a lot of these artists. Dominica is just really good at getting
why?
that.
Because what did you call it? The what?
The lapogabit
Is bad.
is bad. The lapogabit, right? But it's a mix of a lot of different things, right? And essentially that's where the music comes out. So, I mean, a lot of people say that nasty business is vulgar. Again, because it's dubbed nasty business, it almost makes you want to stick up your nose, because especially if you're more of a conservative person, you might say to yourself, you know what, I don't really want to associate myself with that kind of music, especially hearing the name, right? But it's just an evolution of Bouyon.
So
right?
Bouyon is also known as nasty business.
Well, nasty business is Bouyon. It's just a different version of it.
So it's like a subgenre of Bouyon. Okay.
Yeah. So I know there was always this back and forth about, Bouyon being like the grandchild or the child of soca, but that's not true. But because it's its own genre on its own, and that's okay to be its own genre on its own. The unfortunate thing is that because we're small islands, we don't get acknowledged for a lot of the stuff, the other work that we put out in music, right? Like a lot of some of the great composers of Caribbean music come from the small islands, not saying just Dominica, right? Come from the small islands. And, like I spoke about Exile One, like Exile One is like serious business. Like if you research Exile One, you'll understand how big this band, like this man is sitting on just making royalties, right now.
That's incredible.
Right. And he's in his 70s, right? And he can do that, and getting like deals with Netflix to make documentaries and stuff. Things like mans like me can't even get. You understand?
Did he actually do a Netflix documentary?
He's in the process of go watch the episode. It's on my go watch the episode. And he has a documentary coming out. But essentially there's a lot of creative people who've come from the small islands. But what happens, the bigger islands that have more of the population, that also have more of the marketing budgets and have more of the monies and the revenues that can actually promote, they only promote themselves. And they don't pull up us little ones, they don't pull us up. And even when we tell them to pull us up, they stick their nose up, right? They're like, and they try and make it seem like we're trying to compete, but like almost like a little child always wanted to get attention. So we like the little children that always want attention from our mommy and our daddy because they're bigger than us, right? And you'll pull out your mom, you'll pull your mom because you want the attention, right? So that's exactly what it is. And all they have to do is just bring us with them, under their wings, carry us with them, It doesn't have to be my music, your music, or that is mine and that is, because we're all Caribbean people. And yes, what essentially our foundation lies in how we do things differently. And that's what makes us so unique. Why we can have Caribana. Right, Caribana is not just a Trini thing.
Say it again.
It's not just a Bajan thing.
Listen.
Or it's not just, right? Because
no, hold on, please. I want to touch on that. When they played, and I'll always talk about this, when they played the Trinidad anthem at the official launch of Toronto Caribbean Carnival, formerly known as Caribana, I was like, I went to the CEO and the, I guess his title is the general festival manager. I was like, why are they playing the Trinidad anthem? This is a carnival for the whole of the Caribbean here in Toronto.
That's the thing. Like when you get colonizers involved in your business, colonizers don't understand your history.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't even about colonizers. It was just about some of the people.
But the entire festival is controlled by colonizers.
No. I think what happens sometimes is because a lot of the people who make mass and a lot of people who are a part of the carnival are from Trinidad, like on the back end. I think sometimes their mentality is that Toronto Carnival is a blueprint, like copy of Trinidad Carnival.
But it isn't. And I the last time I actually went to Caribana, whatever you call it now, I was 19. And I have not been since. Yeah. And that's because, a huge part of me feel like it's a Trini thing, I mean, and no offense to it being, like, I don't care if it wasn't just a Trini thing. It's just like you don't dub something the entire Caribbean because it was called Caribana, right? And even taking the name away from it is colonizers. Like why you take out the whole Caribbean?
I think
from
it was
the
something with trademarking or some. I don't know what it is. Sorry.
They wanted to like a heritage event and they wanted to make
Toronto.
What it was.
I don't know what it was.
I just think it's a bunch of bullshit, and I think it's just a bunch of white people who are trying to like take charge, and because that's what they do.
I know people were upset ever since it switched to Scotiabank Caribbean Carnival. I was hearing people saying like ever since then, like it's just. Like it really hasn't been the same since they changed the name that first time.
And I don't go, and I know a lot of people that don't go. I mean, if I have relatives that come and visit,
you're gonna show them.
I'll be forced to go, right? But first of all, like I cannot imagine coming to watch a carnival parade with a big, what they call it, fence in front of me. Like that making sense? That just does not make any sense. If I ever see a fence in Dominica, we don't even have guardrails, much as for fence in Dominica for Carnival. Like everything just open, right? So I gonna waste my energy for that? Nah.
I would hope that one day they can get rid of the fences and figure out something that just works for everybody.
You think it's gonna happen? I swear the fence going higher. Like every year, I swear the fence.
Well, it doesn't make sense because the fences are coming down every year, so it's a waste of money.
Like, I don't understand what is the purpose and what is the use of it.
I think the argument on the band side is that they put a lot of hard work into making these costumes, and the people who are not in costume are coming in the band in droves, and it's mashing up the experience for masqueraders. So my thought is, somebody was saying like get rid of the fences and get like security guards in the band or whatever.
But that's what we have in other islands, in all of the islands.
That's
and
what
you have like
saying.
the ropes, you know, you have the, and
The
that's
rope.
you stay within the rope.
Yeah.
So you see the carnival, the revelers right behind the truck or right in front of the truck, and then beyond that is people who want to play mass.
Well, that's what I would like. If we can figure out a way that it can work for everybody. Like nobody, you know, the money for the mass, well, obviously there's going to be the cost of like the trucks and stuff, but a lot of it I would assume is like the actual costume. I heard it's like $27 for 3 feathers or something like that. You know what I mean? For them to just be able to make it.
Yeah.
So I would say if we can figure out something where, okay, here's the masqueraders, and then behind here we have the revelers, and everybody's cool. We just need to figure out something that works for everybody. And I don't think the fences are working for anyone.
No one. Like, I had relatives that visited, and I didn't go bring them because I was just not for it. Somebody offered, and they were just like, the fences were so high, like we could barely see. And these are people that are coming from like New York, and they're coming from the States where they see other carnivals and there's not all of this like restriction. Like I go to Miami Carnival, there's not all of this restriction. Like, why Caribana? I still call it Caribana.
It's okay.
Why is it so special that you need to have fence? Like, I swear the fence trying to head to the sky. Like, it's so tall. Like, what's going on? Like, how you expect people to even see? Like, even if you want to see, like, you go to a freaking game, you can see. They don't have fences. So why do they feel like
they have now is like you have to pay to go and watch from a certain area,
and it could probably bring in more if people could see.
Okay. So where can people find you? Where can they find your work if they want to keep up with you?
So essentially, I'm everywhere. So you can find me on my website is jaeljoseph.com. I also have
Spell it for us.
I also have another site called Black Island Girl. .com. So on socials, you can find me on Facebook, Jael Joseph. I am Jael J. And I do a lot of my shows, my virtual shows on there. So I have quite a few shows. I've interviewed soca artists. I've interviewed Prime Minister.
She big time.
I've interviewed a few people. I have a little bit of a following, like a little bit,
Nice.
11K.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I've done that there, and I continue to do that, and the hope is to expand. My interview style is different than the norm, and check it out for yourself.
For sure.
I get people to say things that they normally would not want to say.
Yeah.
Like even when I interviewed Joaquin, he was just like, "Oh my God, I'm so introvert," and you had me like talking, and I couldn't shut up. So
it's your personality.
I guess I do have that je ne sais quoi, and it's just a style I've had. Like the Prime Minister of Dominica, he gave me his very first exclusive interview where I got to ask him questions about like his upbringing and stuff, and I also know him personally, so it was easy to kind of like just ask him questions and stuff and not really care. So I do this under my brand called Jael Joseph Live. So it's streamed on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter as a simulcast.
The episode that you kept talking about, is that under Jael Joseph Live?
Yeah. So if you go on my YouTube, all of the videos are there.
Okay.
So every show that I've ever done, so even the guy Suki Burn Brain, I did his very first exclusive interview when he talked about his life and his journey, because he's been known to have issues with drugs and mental illness and stuff. So you could check that out too as well, because you really kind of understand know where he comes from, as well as the creator of Nasty Business Genre, which is Ridge. So he was interviewed as well on there. So and I've interviewed the one that say stick your hand in your
and in my
so I did an interview with him as well. So I've interviewed him, and those were some of my like real popular. Like I had like 1,000 people live on the live.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
Right? So him, and then there's Asa Bantan. So Asa Bantan was just a bunch of fun.
He's the one. We're gonna come to a wet fete. Yeah,
yes,
I like that song.
Yes. Or do something crazy.
Oh yes,
that's him.
Okay.
That's him.
So all these people are from Dominica.
That's Dominica. Hello.
Oh, you had a bad song,
Yes. So So Asa, and then now we have like young guys are coming up now, like Guada G and Nice, and they had the Creole Festival the other day, and
Yeah.
they killed out, they mash up the festival. Like it was just, they just brought it down, like seriously. Like I was watching and I was like, yeah, the man, they can perform. And yeah, so I do interviews on there, and I also do quite a bit of producing. So I hope to possibly complete my another documentary soon. So I'm in the process of completing all of the
Still Caribbean storytelling?
always Caribbean storytelling. That's my focus. That's my love. You know, I'm very passionate about my people, whether it's Dominicans or just Caribbean people. I love to hear people's stories, and I love to and my team, we really like do like a deep dive on people, so we get like all of the juicy tea, but not necessarily put out your business in a like a dirty way. You know, we try and keep it clean, and we try and one of the things I always ask people is like, what's off the table? Because they always want to know what questions you're gonna ask. No. Because I don't prepare my questions.
Me neither.
Right? I'm just like, what is off the table? So what don't you want me to talk about? And they'll tell me what they don't. Not everything else is on the table, right?
I'm gonna use that trick.
So I tend to get people to really talk about things that they normally would not have spoken to anybody. Like when I did interviewed Patrice and Drew, I did them together.
Nice.
And they spoke about their relationship.
Wow.
So that was the very first time that they were publicly speaking to people about their relationship and stuff. So that was a really nice interview. That's also on my YouTube channel and stuff. So and I'm hoping that to grow it. So because I've had a lot of stagnation, so to speak, because of pursuing my education. So I did my master's. So that slows down your process, because you gotta work and you gotta your hustle has to keep up, right? And as a result, I kind of slowed back on a lot of things, but I've been picking up since the beginning of this year, doing more and more interviews as the months go, and sponsors come on and they sponsor my stuff, and it's good. So people can find me. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Instagram.
So once we just type in Jael Joseph,
you can search me. I'm searchable, eh? Like I'm right at the top too.
You guys hear she's big time, eh? When I interview Patrice, when I interview Suki, when I interview Prime Minister, when I interview
yes, I interview them all. Who want to toot my trumpet for
you
me?
have to toot
Girl,
it.
let me tell you.
So thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for sharing about Dominica and the music and more about the history and your love for your place.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. I mean, I think this was supposed to have happened even before what happened, because I'd reach out to you
on LinkedIn
when I was doing
something on the radio.
On the radio, yeah, I was doing the freelance course, which I'm still like supposed to be doing, but I'm not really doing. But but I reached out to you, but at the time you were super busy, and then it just came back full circle.
Yeah, and it came back full circle in the perfect time, in the perfect way. Yeah,
talking about Caribbean things.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me in We Blood.
In We Blood.